Because my family decided to run away and oh my god, my mosque's loose. I also realized I committed to a once a video a week schedule, which is insane. I don't know why I did that to myself, but you know, I'm making a video. Hopefully it comes out on Tuesday. If it doesn't come out on Tuesday, it'll come out on... No, it's gonna come out on Tuesday. How do you like the view? It's also really early, which means I'm extremely sleepy. It's like 7 o'clock, which is early for me, okay, considering how I get, like, you know, I sleep like at... No, I slept at 10 o'clock last night. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm still sleepy. I think I just like sleep a lot. This video is about Stan. These parrots don't shut up. 1 second. Are you guys done? Cool. This video is about my Stanford short takes or short essays. Stanford has about 6 or 7 of these, and in my opinion they're probably more important than the other Stanford essays, because when you only have 50 words, that's when you really get the chance to showcase how creative you are, different aspects of your personality, and also they're just really fun essay prompts. Like, I don't think too many other colleges have stuff like this. Like Yale has short essays as well, USC has short essays as well, but Stanford's is like, I don't know, it's unique in my opinion. Maybe just because, you know, I'm going there. So yeah, you know how it is. So the goal with your Stanford short essays is to have a select number of themes, which is the same goal you have with any other essay format. But since you only have 50 words, you have a lot shorter space to actually communicate those themes and get those themes across. So as I'll be going through the essays, I'll also be telling you the theme I was trying to identify with that particular prompt. An interconnected world is manipulating our confirmation bias, amplifying it. The internet that once empowered a free exchange of thoughts and ideas now fosters hyperpartisan perspectives. This algorithmic herding polarizes communities and breeds intolerance, re-tribalizing humanity. What we need is civil discourse and the promise of perspective taking. I personally believe that it's not good enough to just say, here, this is the problem. You also have to, in some shape and form, give a solution you think could work. And I only had like 5 or 7 words to give my solution, so I had to be really brief. So I said what we need is civil discourse and the promise of perspective taking the perspective of the other person. So that's my answer for this. What I've also noticed people tend to do is they tend to match it up with their major. So if I'm applying for psychology or social psychology, my most significant challenge is most probably going to be about how people interact. If someone is applying for, you know, medicine, then their most significant challenge could be talking about how pandemics like COVID-19 have come up. There are a lot of different ways you can approach this. I've seen such creative answers. I'll just give you a few examples because, you know, I'll tell you my answer as well, but there's some answers which are really insane. Someone said that I'd like to go back to the day I was born to see how, you know, my parents reacted and what the environment of my birth was. So that's just an example. I would suggest you do a lot of research, especially if you know you're not a history student. The way I approached this answer was just going into the themes that I wanted to study. So one of my themes was irrationality. So I was trying to study what were some historical events that exposed irrationality. Nobody is going to be like, you know, your historical event isn't good enough. It's more about why you're talking about this historical event. 5th century BC, the Pythagorean cult has just discovered the existence of irrational numbers. For a sect devoted to the absolute rationality of mathematics, irrationals brought about unthinkable emotional turmoil. I would like to witness their progression from keeping the concept a secret to eventually embracing deviance from the norm. If you quickly want to go into the mathematics of it, when you take a right angle triangle, you put 1 on the base and 1 on the height, you're going to get root 2 as your hypotenuse, which is an irrational number. So what I was talking about was when this sect, which is always talking about, you know, the logic and the rationality behind mathematics, was approached by this number which is irrational by its nature, they were dumbfounded and they didn't know what to do with it. They wanted to initially cover up the fact that they had come across a fact which was illogical or irrational. And that's the point I wanted to delve into, how I considered myself interested in this whole aspect of irrationality and how things will not always make sense when it comes to humans. The next one is probably my favorite answer to talk about. It's what 5 words best describe you. So the 5 words I picked was happily dissatisfied, sleep-deprived dreamer. I chose to use a phrase because I felt like it's more coherent and it gives someone a fuller picture of me. And to quickly explain what I've said, because it doesn't really make sense the first time you see it. What I'm talking about here is, I always consider myself to be a little bit dissatisfied, in the sense that I always want to work to something more. But I'm happy about it, I'm happy with the fact that I always want to go for something more. Sleep deprived is, well, a state. In high school there's not really much else to do. Now I've been getting a lot of sleep, as you can tell from this 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. really healthy sleep cycle. The reason I chose dreamer right after sleep deprived was because dreams associated with sleep, but if I'm not getting any sleep, then how am I dreaming? I'm dreaming in the real world. I'm working towards my dreams in real life rather than dreaming about them when I'm asleep. The next question is one thing you're looking forward to at Stanford. So a lot of colleges have a similar kind of question, except they don't ask it in 50 words, they ask it in 250 words, which is, why do you want to come to our college? This is essentially a miniaturized, is that a word? This is essentially a smaller and compact version of that big essay. Stanford basically wants to know, what is one thing you're definitely going to do when they come here? Because at the end of the day, universities like Stanford or any other university wants to know that when you are admitted to that class, what kind of a person are you going to be, what kind of activities are you going to participate in, because they want different kinds of people, right? So they don't want 10 people who are going to be like, I'm going to participate in varsity rowing, for all you know, because then they just have 10 rowers and they're like, what do we do now? But 10 rowers is fine. I'm talking about in proportion. So if they only admitted 10 people, all 10 of those people aren't going to be like, I want to do rowing. But yeah, as a majority, 10 people will definitely say something like that. In my opinion, I approach this a little differently, in the sense that I didn't dig up something that I researched online. I actually found an old email that I'd written to a Stanford professor back in 2017, which spoke about how much I wanted to participate in a design thinking elective at Stanford with this professor. I just wanted to intern with this professor, just wanted to work with them, and this professor actually mailed me back, but the response wasn't exactly what I wanted. But I'll read the answer out to you. It has a lot of grammar, if that makes sense. Not grammar, there's a lot of punctuation involved, so I'm just going to put it up here. April 20th, 2017, Pam Scott, comma, I don't know why I said comma, guest lecturer at the Stanford D School, actually replied to a cold mail from a 15-year-old obsessed with design thinking. I'd love to, but I'm taking some time off. So close. Taking an elective at the D School, I will realize a dream, learning from the creators of human-centered innovation at its birthplace. Now, for those of you who don't know, in my activities video I spoke about how I was really interested in design thinking when I was in 9th grade, which also involved me sending a lot of random cold mails to a lot of people all over the world, a lot of them going to Stanford. And if you don't know, Stanford is actually the birthplace of design thinking. So I'd sent a mail to a professor, a guest lecturer working at the Stanford D School, being like, please let me in, please, I'll do anything to go here, just I'd like a little bit of time with you. And she basically said, I'm not there right now, sorry, rip, have fun. So what I'm trying to show through this essay is, this is not something I'm looking forward to at Stanford today. This is something I've been looking forward to at Stanford like 3 years ago. Now we're down to the last short prompt, which is, if you had 1 extra hour in the day, what would you do with it? The advice I would give you for this last question is, don't act like you're the most productive person in the world. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna start a new non-profit, I'm gonna learn a new language. Okay, maybe you can learn a new language, but don't say anything that's unrealistic to the point where they're just like, if someone gave you an extra hour, why would you do it? Because if it was as important as starting a new non-profit, then you'd be doing that in the other 24 hours in the day. The point is, if you had a 25th hour in the day, what would you do with it? Talk about something a little more sentimental, something you'd actually want to do if you had an extra hour in the day. So this was my answer. Years ago, my father would tuck my younger brother and me into bed with virtuous stories he would weave through the night. With his entrepreneurial venture, our tradition faded away. In this 25th hour, I would become the storyteller, awakening my brother's imagination and recreating our ritual of togetherness. Recreating our ritual of togetherness. I still don't know why I said it. I was very happy with it when I wrote it, but I could have just written like bonding with my brother or something. I didn't have to be this extra. And what you'll notice is, some of these answers, the language I've used is not language you're meant to use in these short essays. Like, for example, the first one, most significant challenge. I did not need to write hyperpartisan perspectives, algorithmic herding. I just thought these things sounded nice, and that's what I would suggest to you as well. If something sounds nice, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to write it. There's no harm if you do write it, but it's a little try hard. Yeah, I'm calling myself try hard. Shaurya 2019, Shaurya, you would try hard.